Impact Interview is sponsored by the Pocono Mountains, where small-town charm meets big adventures. Book your trip today by visiting PoconoMountains.com.
Well, welcome back to Nittany Game Week. Our Impact interview this week is new men's head basketball coach Mike Rhoades for Penn State, a national championship player, a two-time All-American, and the 1995 Division III National Player of the Year. Take a look. Here is the Rhoades to Happy Valley. 19 years head coaching experience, 373 wins, multiple NCAA tournament appearances, and 10 20-win seasons. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We really appreciate the time.
Oh, you bet. Thanks for having me.
All right, so look, let's go right into it, and we'll talk about you being a PA native, right? And that Penn State connection. Your dad, a state senator for many, many years. So as this process got started and things started heading in the direction of you being the head coach for the Nittany Lions, what were those emotions like? And how'd you feel about the job initially? And then you sign and here you are. So there's got to be a lot of stuff headed into that process, Coach, and now you're about set to start the first season.
Without a doubt. I mean, when the process started, I had no intention of leaving VCU. We loved it in Richmond. VCU is a great place to be a basketball coach, great support, awesome fans. We had a heck of a team returning. And my wife's from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Of course, I'm from Schuylkill County and very familiar with Penn State. I've been saying it for a while now since I've been here. I know a lot more about Penn State basketball than a lot of people. Before I took the job, now I know a little bit even more, right? And the conversations with the president and the athletic director and just spending time with Pat Kraft and his vision, and man, I want to work for that guy. And then the opportunity at a place like Penn State on the biggest stage in college basketball and college athletics, sitting down with Pat and his team and talking to the president and feeling their alignment, I was like, man, this might be too good to be true that I can go back to my home state where my wife and I are from. Brother and sister went to Penn State. I made many road trips up here. It's a fun place to be. It's a great place to be a student.
Mike, in the 1960s, as Penn State was kind of building up a national presence in football, they made a concerted effort to play national games and get exposure in important media markets. Right out of the gate, you look at your schedule this year, you're playing Georgia Tech in Madison Square Garden, Michigan at the Palestra in Philly, Texas A&M in Florida, and for us older fans, you're playing in Rec Hall, which to me is the greatest thing in the world. How important is it to create those kinds of events and be aggressive in putting the program out there?
Well, I said it, Jay, from the start, bold, different, and aggressive, and not being cocky at all or having all the answers, but let's think outside the box in the way we do everything. And I think change without losing your identity, but having change on different aspects, scheduling, how we go about our facilities, our out-of-conference schedule. I went to a game when I was a kid in Rec Hall. My dad brought me up here. I just remember how packed and hot it was. And seeing all these pictures since I've been here of volleyball in there and wrestling in there, and what a cool old-school vibe, playing at some awesome venues. Think about this. A kid from Pennsylvania, from Monty City, Pennsylvania, in his first year as the head basketball coach at Penn State, is going to get to coach in the Palestra and Madison Square Garden. Pretty cool.
Coach, I'll just throw out Martz Hall as a possible venue for the future. I know there's a couple Schuylkill County people that would like to see that. Kudos on the Schuylkill County Day, by the way. 2 thumbs up on that. You mentioned the family connections to Penn State, and I know you have a lot of friends that are diehard Penn State fans. Can you take us down memory lane and all to some crazy stories that have happened at Penn State around possible football weekends?
Oh, yeah, without a doubt. One of my favorite all-time stories, and you'll get a kick out of this, but my Little League baseball coach brought me up here for a blue and white game. And I was 11 years old, I think. I wasn't 12 yet. I was 11. Came up here with 2 of our teammates and Skipper Delinsky. Skip is one of my favorite coaches of all time. And we came up for a blue and white game, walked to town, hung out. I'll never forget, he had breaded pork chops for everybody. He put them on the dash, Jay. He put them on the dash. We came back at halftime of the game and came out, and they were cooking. And I say that because you just have those awesome memories, but I have some road trips when I was in college coming up here to see friends. This crazy ride I've had coaching college basketball. since I graduated from Lebanon Valley. There's been so many people from Schuylkill County who have followed me, have driven the crazy places to see my teams play. And now I have an opportunity, and we're only 2 hours away, to include all of them. So we wanted to do something like that where, hey, let's talk about home. There's so many awesome parts of Pennsylvania and so many great counties out there. We're going to celebrate December 2nd, Schuylkill County, by how hard we play against Bucknell and the way we do things.
A lot of Penn State fans are going to be curious about your style. So what can they expect from a Coach Rhoades team for the Nittany Lions, not just this year, but in the future, building for the long term?
There's a certain way we'll do it each year. We gotta play to win. We gotta play to beat the best teams in the Big Ten. But one thing I know for sure, the success we're going to have is because we're going to play fast and be really aggressive. We can't play on our heels. We can't play slow and methodical and just try to grind one out. You could maybe get away with that here and there at times, but that's not who we are. That's not ultimately who we want to be. I just think it's exciting to play. We don't want to play quarter court offense. We want to play 94 feet and play with pace. And we'll have some tough nights. That's what happens when you take over a new program and have to bring a bunch of new guys in. But I know I like how competitively we are, and I like how aggressive we are. Now we just got to turn ourselves into a finely tuned basketball team and understand where their strengths and our weaknesses from and use them accordingly.
You talked a little bit about, putting a team together. Assembling and retaining a roster in the transfer portal era is certainly a challenge. As you've gone out recruiting high school players and transfer players, what kind of response are you seeing now as you come to these kids and say, why don't you come to Penn State?
Well, Jay, you know this for a fact, and you've experienced it. Number one is everybody wants to play at the highest level. We are at the highest level in the Big Ten, maybe the most powerful conference in college athletics. You play a national schedule now with 4 West Coast teams in the Big Ten. We're going to play all over the country. So everybody's going to see you play every night you put on a uniform. So what a great stage. Now we have to sell, how important it is here to win in basketball. And with the support we have and the resources and the decisions we've made that has never been made before, I think is huge. Now we got to go get those kids that we tried to recruit at VCU who say, Coach, I want to play at the highest level, and go get those guys and some other guys. I know guys are excited about Penn State, and I was on the road yesterday in the DMV because they watched us play and they saw our style at VCU. We put guys in the NBA from VCU. There was 4 guys from Penn State that wore Penn State uniforms on rosters last night in the first night of NBA games. So you can get to your dreams from Penn State on the biggest stage. But the other side of it, and the really, really important side of it that I'm just reiterating to all these young people and their family, you could do that at the highest level on the biggest stage in college athletics, but get an unbelievable degree, get an education that is powerful in the real world, especially with the Penn State network and the alumni network. So all that stuff you put together to high-level kids all over the country, and we get them here and get their feet on the ground for a visit, and their parents see how real this place is. It's pretty appealing. Now we got to go out and show our style of play and show how much fun our guys could have playing basketball in the Big Ten at Penn State. But all of that together, Jay, that's a special thing, as you know.
Coach, how excited are you for that westward expansion with UCLA, USC coming into the Big Ten and early on returns on the recruiting trail? Have you noticed a difference in kids being excited about that, being able to play coast to coast?
Yeah, well, we're recruiting some kids on the West Coast right now, so they know that there's opportunities for them to play back home on the West Coast. And I mean, look, I'm going to get to coach in Pauley Pavilion. Are you crazy? Come on, going to LA to play college basketball. I knew I was never going to LA to be a Hollywood star, but I get to coach college basketball in LA. And when I was at Rice, we recruited Seattle really hard. What a beautiful place to be. Just really cool. We recruit the Northwest. There's players up there. So now we recruit the whole country, knowing that they're going to play all over the country. And with the TV package the Big Ten has and its own network, that's very, very appealing because these guys want to play on the biggest stage and they want their families and everyone to see them. And and the next level, right? The professional teams to see them play and all that stuff. So you could do that at Penn State for sure. But I'm excited about the West Coast. I'm not sure those flights are going to be a lot of fun, but the games itself and doing something different, I think it'd be really cool.
Well, Coach, I know Andrew got in a Martz Hall reference. We'll defer to him and see if he's got anything else, but I don't think we have any other questions for you unless Andrew's got something he wants to fire at you.
I just want to know if you're pushing Dr. Pat Kraft for some anthracite coal giveaways, kielbasa, and pierogies for Schuylkill County Day. Those are the important things that we need answered.
There's a lot of things in Schuylkill County we want to bring to Penn State, but not everything, Andrew. Not everything.
One begins with a B, and it comes in a bottle. It's homemade usually. Yes.
I can think of a couple.
Yeah, there's a rule that no boilo unless it's around Christmas time, and but lots of Mrs. T's pierogies and Gears iced tea and Yingling Lager. That's welcome up here anytime. But the neat thing about being around all of Pennsylvania, meeting people all over the state, how much they love Penn State, it makes it exciting for me to when I go on the road recruiting or I go to talk to businesses or fan clubs and all that. The pride people have in this state for Penn State University makes you get excited to coach your team for sure.